So now that they have voted to release the files, are we going to get the real files or the edited files? That is the question that we all want to know. Are we going to see the real deal files? But something tells me we are not. We're going to get the edited files. And if we get edited files, what will it contain? All of the Republicans that are probably going to be mentioned in there, redacted. But we shall see. Again, I'm not saying that Democrats didn't have a part in this. If they did, so what? We just want to see the real deal files. We don't want to see anything edited. The real deal. Because again, whether it's Republicans in it, Democrats in it, all of them need to be held accountable. So we shall see.
The House just voted to release the Epstein files. Here's everything that you need to know right now. After months of dodging and stalling and recessing and Uno reversing, the GOP leadership woke up today and said, oh no, we've always been in favor of releasing these Epstein files. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's be clear. This is not happening because the Republicans and Mike Johnson had a sudden moral awakening. It was because the Democrats fought tooth and nail and dragged these fuckers to the floor to have this vote in the daylight. For months, Mike Johnson was in full defense mode, sending Congress home, delaying the vote, not swearing in Adelita Grijalva. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has been fighting tooth and nail to not get this vote released, bringing in famously Lauren Boebert to the Situation Room to try and change her mind about voting positively for this. Why, you ask? Well, it's because he didn't want the fucking files released. And suddenly, on Sunday, he woke up and said, oh no, release the files. Interesting. Conveniently, that same guy has asked his DOJ to start a new investigation into Democrats, which legal experts say could delay or entirely stop the release of these files altogether. The bottom line here is that transparency won today, not because Republicans and Mike Johnson and Donald Trump saw the light finally. It was because Democrats made this completely unavoidable.
The Epstein files were just voted on. And this all happened because of these two men. Democrat Ro Khanna and Republican Thomas Massie came together, put party politics aside, and asked for justice. They got enough signatures to force a vote in the House for the Epstein file release. And this is what happened.
On this vote, the yeas are 427, the nays are 1. 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
So the Epstein files have passed the House. They now need to go to the Senate to be voted on, and President Trump already said he would sign the bill. But you might be wondering, who was that single Republican to vote no? Well, it was Clay Higgins. If you are in Louisiana's 3rd District, this is your man. So remember that next time when elections come around. But as always, let me know your thoughts about this. Do you think the Senate is going to pass it? And make sure you're following me for more.
The House has voted to release the Epstein files. The vote was 427 to 1. The one no was Clay Higgins, a Republican from Louisiana. I cannot remember the last time I have seen a vote with national attention be so unanimous. So what's next is that it goes to the Senate, where Mike Johnson and several Republicans are asking for it to be delayed. I watched the floor proceedings for the vote in the House, and there was a lot of debate, and every Republican asked for the Senate to change the bill. They want protections for whistleblowers put into the bill. Brad Knott, a Republican from North Carolina, talked about how he didn't want innocent men who were maybe just delivery workers or had nothing to do with the nefarious dealings of Epstein to be spotlit by the files. That was echoed by Chip Roy and then again by Mike Johnson. So they are asking the Republicans in the Senate to change the bill to include some kind of redaction of whoever those people are, if they exist. Thomas Massie says those protections are already in the bill. So why are the Republicans in the House asking for the Senate to do this? Because it causes more delay. If the Senate changes the bill by adding these changes, it has to go back to the House for yet another vote. The bill as it's written only calls for the DOJ to release unclassified documents, so this might theoretically give the DOJ and the Trump administration more time to classify more portions of it. So now we need to ask our senators to vote as soon as possible on a clean bill with no changes. That is up to the Majority Leader, John Thune. If it passes, Trump has said that he will sign it. So, let's light this candle.
The vote to force the release of the Epstein files just passed with more than a veto-proof majority in the House of Representatives. I cannot tell you how monumental this is on so many fronts. The final vote was 427 to 1. 5 House members were not present and did not vote. That no vote was Representative Clay Higgins, a Republican from Louisiana. He said he voted no because he is concerned that this discharge petition would interfere with the ongoing Oversight Committee investigation into Epstein. So, what happens now? That is the question. The reality is, with the vote this overwhelming in the House, the Senate is going to have to do something with this bill. The political pressure is just going to be too great to ignore it, which ignoring it is definitely an option the Senate Majority Leader has. I don't think he's going to do that, but it doesn't mean that Senate Majority Leader John Thune is going to bring up this specific bill to the floor of the Senate for a vote. The Senate could actually, and very well may, change or amend this bill. During the debate on the House floor today, House Republicans may have previewed what some of those amendments or changes to this bill could be. Even the Speaker of the House said the Senate should amend the bill. It seems that lots of Republicans believe that this specific bill, because of the way it is written, would expose the names of victims. But the question is, which victims are these Republicans talking about? The bill that just passed the House specifically says that victims' names will be redacted, meaning the names of the young girls who were trafficked and abused by Jeffrey Epstein and his rich and powerful friends. But what the Republicans seem to be concerned about are the other names in the Epstein file. See, when an investigation this huge happens, lots of names and contacts get put into the investigatory file. Those people may not have ever done anything wrong, but they may have come in contact with Jeffrey Epstein, or they may have sent him an email, or they may have gone to lunch with him. And then that name gets put in the file. Plus, there are definitely names in there of rich and powerful men who were on Epstein's island or on Epstein's plane and were never charged, and their names have never been disclosed. This bill that just passed in the House specifically says all of those names should be released regardless of if it embarrasses these people or their businesses or makes them look bad. This bill says all of those names should come out. But during the debate on the House floor today, several Republicans, including the House Speaker, were suggesting that those types of people who had their names in the Epstein file and were never charged with any wrongdoing should also have their names redacted because they could be hurt by the release of their names. The co-sponsors of this bill, Representatives Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna, were pissed that the Speaker was leading this charge to change the bill in this way. They say he is now part of this cover-up and he is protecting those rich and powerful men. So back to what the Senate could do. Besides ignore this bill or amend the bill, the Majority Leader could also just put this specific bill up for what's called unanimous consent. Meaning, he puts the bill on the Senate floor and all 100 senators have to agree to pass it. If one senator votes no, then the bill would have to go back through the regular order process. The strategy, if Thune chose this option, would be to just get this Epstein file political hot potato bill out of his chamber as quickly as possible so they can move on. It's unclear what choice Senator Thune is going to make. We will see in the coming days, but the fact remains President Trump does not need this bill to pass in order to release the Epstein files. He could absolutely order the Justice Department to release the files on his own today.
We have some major breaking news. The bill to release the Epstein files just passed the House of Representatives overwhelmingly. The final vote to release the files was 211 Democrats voting yes, 216 Republicans, and 1 Republican voting no. It was 427 to 1. The Democrats were unanimous, but of course the Republicans weren't. Representative Clay Higgins, a MAGA guy from Louisiana, was the one person who voted no. As soon as the resolution passed, Democrats turned and applauded the House gallery where Epstein survivors were seated. They rose and cheered for lawmakers in return. Their survivors blew kisses and shouted thank you to the House floor as some wiped tears from their eyes. And really, at the end of the day, this is who it's all about. I mean, these survivors have been through so much. They have fought so hard for transparency, and we're hoping that they get it. Now the bill goes to the Senate, and the Republicans are already talking about how they could rewrite it to essentially protect Donald Trump and his billionaire buddies. So I will keep you updated on the progress here, but this is a great first step.
Where does it go from here now that it passed the House? I expect it will be a veto-proof majority, at least in the Senate, and potentially close to unanimously, based on the momentum behind this whole issue and their desire to not be historically attached to a child trafficking ring. It will go to the president's desk. The president will have the opportunity to sign it, and I actually believe Donald Trump will sign this into law as soon as it hits his desk. I do, at this point, given all the information we know as of right now today, believe that what Pam Bondi has been doing behind the scenes is carefully scrubbing the Epstein files of any reference to Donald Trump, any reference to consequential Republicans, and replacing those names, either deleting those records entirely or replacing them with Democratic figures, so that it can be released and it can be investigated in a politically motivated way. Donald Trump gets to claim that he is the most transparent president ever because after all this time that people were saying he was in the files, look, we're only investigating Democrats because they're the only ones that show up in there. The problem is other people have these files. Other people know what's in there. Other people are still witnesses and victims and survivors to exactly what happened. The cover-up is going to assist in bringing all of this down, and eventually it will be clear that the reason Donald Trump flipped is because he knew the version of the files that was going to hit the streets was not the version that included him.
The House of Representatives have overwhelmingly voted to release the Epstein files, with only Representative Clay Higgins, a Republican from the state of Louisiana, voting against it, saying that he has always been a no vote against it because there's things he perceives are wrong with the bill. Now, this is going to put pressure on Senate Majority Leader, Republican John Thune, to bring this bill to the Senate floor. He says he doesn't see a reason to because, well, so far, the House Oversight Committee releasing the files has been enough. But Republicans in the Senate are now saying, we need to vote on this. So John Thune is going to be pressured into bringing it to the Senate floor to vote. And the overwhelming majority of Republicans, all but one in the House of Representatives, voted to release these files, which means John Thune is now going to have to buck his party in both the House of Representatives and in his own chamber, and the president's wishes, who said vote for it. So, John Thune, it's in your court. Are you going to protect the pedophiles on the list, or are you going to do what the American public wants and release the files?
Mr. Speaker, the walls are closing in on Donald Trump and his rich and powerful friends who either abused or raped children or were enabling and complicit in these heinous crimes for decades. This vote today matters, but here is the truth. Donald Trump could direct the Department of Justice to release the files today. He is choosing not to. They are already under subpoena, led by oversight Democrats, and have refused. This is an ongoing cover-up by the Trump White House, and Mike Johnson and the House has been complicit. What is Trump hiding? Why not release the files today? This is a
time has expired.
Release the files today. Thank you.
It is official. The U.S. House of Representatives has passed the bill to release the Epstein files. It was not unanimous, actually. There was one member of Congress that voted against it, and it was Clay Higgins. There's no real clear reasoning as to why. He hasn't come out and said anything as to why he voted against it. He's kind of an oddball member of Congress, does his own thing. But yeah, it has been passed, so it will now go to the Senate, where I kind of anticipate Thune to delay this even further. They're going to mark it up. It sounds like they're already laying the groundwork, the Republicans are, to get this tied up in the legislative red tape of making adjustments in the Senate and then having to send it back to the House to then repass it with another vote. I just hope that we don't take the pressure off these people. They need to know that we are watching them and how they proceed with this, and any effort to further delay justice is an effort to deny it.
It officially passed. In a vote of 427 to 1, the House has passed the Jeffrey Epstein files bill, making a major step towards finally releasing these files. But I need to tell you, the fight is not over, because even though the House has passed it, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, already said that he's kind of demanding John Thune, the Majority Speaker, inside the Senate to make some changes, which would then kick it back down to the House, which means it could still be quite some time until we see these files. But this is where you come in. We need every single person, every single state, to call your senator and say, vote yes. When this finally hits the floor, when we don't know when it's going to, just so you know, we don't know when. John Thune didn't really put out a timeline. It kind of looks like they want to delay it as much as possible. But we need to get as many people calling their representatives saying, vote yes when it comes to the floor. Vote yes. Without any changes. Let's get it moving forward so that Trump can sign it. And yes, I know what you're saying. Is it possible that Trump could sign it and then they turn around and say, well, it's under a full investigation. We can't release those files. That's also a possibility. There's a lot of things out there stopping these files from coming out. But make sure you're not one of those stopping those files. So once again, call your senator, say, hey, when this comes out, you vote yes to move it forward, or kind of force John Thune to put it on the floor in order to vote on it.
We have breaking news. One Republican voted against the release of the Epstein files. He's the only member of Congress to vote against the release of the Epstein files. The vote was 427 to 1. The one against, his name is Clay Higgins. He's a member of Congress, a Republican from Louisiana who has been no stranger to controversy since entering the House of Representatives. Clay Higgins says he voted against it because he believes that this would interfere with the ongoing Oversight Committee's responsibility in investigating Jeffrey Epstein and his horrific crimes. But yet, all of his Republican colleagues voted yes. He's the only one who voted no. 427 voted yes total. 1 voted no. It now heads to the United States Senate, where hopefully it'll have a vote soon. That's where we need the pressure on. So call your senators, tell them to vote yes to release the Epstein files. Spread the word, follow along for more. Today is a major win for the survivors. A major win, despite Clay Higgins' vote. Major win for survivors.
I made a post yesterday talking about how Trump essentially let us know that they're scrubbing the files. Because, now he wants them released, and he flat out said, it's all Dems. Dems were the only ones that hung out with them back then. So, all the names are going to be Dems, mind you. Back then, he was a Dem. He was only a Republican when he decided to run for president. So, self-incrimination right there. But he flat out told us that it's all Dems in the files. And look what Jeffrey's brother interviewed and said today. In an interview on News Nation Monday, Mark alleged the reason they're going to be releasing these things, the reason for the flip, is that they're sanitizing these files. There's a facility in Winchester, Virginia, where they're scrubbing the files to take Republicans' name out. And he has said he has it from a very good source that this is happening. So, yeah, that is why. Because they're scrubbing them. So when they do come out, lo and behold, it'll be magically all Dems. Or Republicans that are dead, or have stabbed Trump in the back, or who are just don't matter anymore. So we're being played. They're playing right in our fucking faces, and Trump always gives the game away. He always gives the game away. So by him flat out saying it's all Dems in the files, yeah, he's letting us know that that's what the outcome is going to be.